Hello and welcome everyone. Our study is entitled Level of Motivation of Senior High School Students During Synchronous and Asynchronous Online Class Activities. I am Angelo Otadoy, the Principal Researcher of Group 3. Along with me are my fellow members, Krztian Tenorio, Althea Alba, Jannah Corcino, Shanice Luciano, Fiona Mamparo, Shane Obando, Martzi Sauro, Sharra Ticao, Clemen Tinaan, and Amoure Yahya.
For the background of the study, Director General Pedro have reported that the coronavirus disease is a matter that affects every sector. Quarantine protocols have been implemented, resulting to the educational sector to discontinue face-to-face measures, resorting to distance learning. As new online learning infrastructures and methods have emerged in various countries, the motivations of the students have been affected as well, as complications have been observed. According to Friedman 2020, struggling experiences includes technical issues, connectivity issues, disturbances, and anxieties about the future. This method is especially arduous to some countries like Pakistan, as the majority of the students are unable to access internet connection due to their technical and financial scarcity. In Indonesia, where their geographical state alone deprives them of having good internet connection. In the Philippines, difficulties have also been observed, as an order was released by the Department of Education addressing the implementation of the Learning Continuity Plan, which intends to deliver high-quality learning, distance learning, through the utilization of printed self-learning modules and electronics like radio, television, laptops, and mobile phones, which all needs the use of internet connections. In Davao City, one higher educational institution have adopted an online learning management system. They had alternate sessions, synchronous and asynchronous online classes every week in the second semester of the academic year 2020-2021. Feedbacks have been bombarded, resulting to their reconsideration if they will continue this method or not. A previous study by Clues and Evans 2003 have showed the students' performances between synchronous and asynchronous online classes, but was centered more on business graduate students' experiences. Thus, the researchers will be filling that gap through this study, which will be focusing more on the levels of motivation and the activities of the synchronous and asynchronous online classes of the senior high school students. Ultimately, the study aims to know the levels of motivation of the students in senior high school in one of the higher educational establishments of Davao City and the activities of synchronous and asynchronous online classes. It intends to know the levels of motivation in learning online, describing the levels of motivation in terms of autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
This study will benefit the following to the students. This study will help them identify their difficulties online and determine the most convenient or flexible setup for them. To the parents, this research will ensure the safety and ease the parents' concerns about the security of their children. Moreover, this will give them the opportunity to provide emotional support to their children during challenging times. To the teachers, it will compensate for the lack of access to instructional materials and time spent monitoring student progress. It will also help teachers to optimize the capacity for individual learning curves and styles. To the institution, this study will help the school administration determine what is the most feasible learning environment that will help students improve their productivity while achieving quality education. This study will also be used as a reference for implementing policies that will benefit the students' welfare. To the researchers, this study will enable the researchers to learn more about student varied motivation levels through the activities of implementing synchronous and asynchronous online classes. Further, the result of the study may also be used as a reference for future researches.
The study will be anchored mainly on the self-determination theory of motivation, intrinsic motivation, and self-determination in human behavior. This theory, developed by Edward L. Deci and Richard M. Ryan in 1985, states that internal structures that are constantly elaborated and refined to reflect ongoing experiences influence behavior. The three basic psychological needs are autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
First, starting off with autonomy, this refers to one's longing for freedom along with one's expression of his or her own will. This may be attained through gamification and other forms of motivating oneself. It consists of a set of abilities and attitudes. For example, the ability to think, comprehend diverse points of view, and debate with others on relevant concepts. Next, moving on to competence. This talks about one's mindset or action to do a task efficiently. And lastly, we have relatedness, which refers to one's ability or skill to relate with others she or he encounters.
For the statement of the problem, we want to quantitatively identify the levels of motivation of senior high school students during synchronous and asynchronous online activities in one of the higher educational institutions in Davao City in terms of autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
This study aims to identify and evaluate the levels of motivation of senior high school students in synchronous and asynchronous online class activities at one of Davao City's higher educational institutions. The researchers will use a descriptive research study design with quantitative methods, which is the most suited for the study. Through this, the researchers will use this information to evaluate how stimulated students are when doing synchronous and asynchronous tasks, as well as internal and external variables that contribute to a student's accomplishment.
The researchers subjected all grade 12 students from one of Davao City's higher education institutions to the population of this sample size. Regarding the selection of participants, the students must achieve these criteria. Enrolled in this institution during the academic year 2021 to 2022 must be a grade 12 student from Accountancy, Business and Management or ABM, Humanities and Social Sciences or UMS, and Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics or STEM, and must be 18 years old and above. The participants will evenly come from all strands due to the stratified random sampling in which the strands are the samples.
The researchers will be utilizing the Google Forms platform, accessible both in-app and website, for the questions to be answered by the participants. The questionnaire will be distributed into two sections, each of which address the paper's objectives. The first section ascertains the levels of motivation of students in performing asynchronous activities, and the next section assesses the levels of motivation of students in performing asynchronous activities. The questionnaire for this study uses a 5-point Likert type scale of interpretation, each corresponding to a different level of agreement. In this study, each option represented a diverse level of motivation, such as 5 for extremely motivated, 4 for motivated, 3 for neither motivated nor not motivated, 2 for not motivated, and 1 for extremely not motivated.
Studies without ethical considerations are bound to fail, which leads the ethical considerations as one of the most important parts of the research. It helps in guiding the researchers for conducting the research, to reach out to participants, and especially in choosing them depending on the requirements needed. This section will be submitted in the Research Ethics Committee. By this means, the researchers will only select participants from the grade 12 students in 3 different strands, which includes the STEM, ABM, and UMS. Afterwards, the researchers will be using the class list provided by the research advisor, and the researchers will contact them privately through Messenger and email by discussing the instructions and directions of the survey. Afterwards, the researchers will be sending the survey questionnaires for them to answer.
This study will only gather responses from eligible participants who are of legal age. Therefore, any minors who partake in answering the given forms will be denied. The data that will be collected will be kept under our research leader's personal Google Drive for approximately 6 months until all the information is analyzed, transcribed, and interpreted. After the analysis and transcription are completed, our research leader will then delete all the folder containing all of the collected data.